So since the MVM update is the hot fucking topic around. Talk a little about it, if you like. Right, it's the MVM balance proposal thing by an extremely dedicated player, you could say so. This is by Helmut, who's playing with us today, and I would assume you could call him that. We played a bunch of missions of his, and he definitely understands MVM. But that doesn't mean that the missions were actual MVM, but that's besides the point. Right, general MVM changes. Oversight in an export version code, which players are able to export if becoming completely invisible. This is like the nav mesh thing, where it goes to GitHub, and there's a video where you can actually see how it's fixed. And I think some community shit has it also fixed. So that should be something they should definitely do. It doesn't seem too difficult to actually do either, so we'll probably not see it because it's still too difficult to do. Bug with Money Collection Edition in the May 12th, 2025 patch, in which money is incorrectly collected due to the code checking for the bounding box of group funk respawn rooms. Yeah, you know, they patched the game because some money was randomly dropping outside the collectible area in the bot spawn, and to fix that, they broke more things, which is a classic Valve thing to do. And of course, they didn't fix the thing that they broke, which is another classic Valve thing to do. So there's that. There's a bug with the item handling of AI of bots, and often causes them to stay in their spawn and soft lock the game. This has probably to do with like weapon switches and shit. Yeah. Some cases in MVM, robots cannot use the items buff ban or bonk due to the timer. Ending before the weapon is fully deployed. This leads to the robot constantly switching to items without activating them. I think this is related to the one time where they actually increased the weapon switch speed or something, and they never tried to actually fix MVM because that affected weapon switches in that game mode too, which breaks a bunch of waves and delays a bunch of stuff. But hey, that's been like 10 years or something since they did that, and they never addressed it, so pretty cool. Only the flamethrower damage on tanks causing different results depending on flame direction, which is related to like the particles hitting something behind or somewhere else, right? So the proper damage ramp up for the flamethrower doesn't get calculated, so you get this weird angling up at the tank, so you shoot basically into the sky blocks where you can't hit anything with your flame particles, so the flamethrower properly ramps up, as I understand it. And yeah, that's probably a pretty stupid, shitty thing that should just be normalized and fixed, but no, would reckon we're not gonna see that either. Please consider commenting out the roam vision system as it has glaring flaws in its implementation. I've been told that it's fucked up, it makes things laggy and whatever, and like shooting things as a sniper also is busted as hell, but I guess regardless of whether players choose to enable it or not, the roam system is a server-side hawk that is greatly taxed the MVM populator system by tasking hundreds of hidden cosmetics, causing significant performance loss, as well as general lag spikes on any bot spawn. Probably because it's checking if some roam vision is on for somebody, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, if it's just unoptimized bullshit, you probably shouldn't have it, or I don't know, make it like a server, not a server-side thing, more like a client-side thing. If somebody wants to see it, then they could just have it, like a weapon reskin thing that you might want to look at or something. If that's possible, I don't know. Upgrade station is built in a system that reduces upgrade effectiveness as an item that already starts with set upgrade, and this causes problems. For instance, the infamous direct hit upgrade damage, just having 3 points instead of 4 because it has inherently 25% damage bonus, which gimps this weapon even more. Instead of being able to achieve 100 to 25% damage bonus, you will never be better than any of the other rocket launchers. On top of just having abysmal splash damage, but you could maybe see this being, the rocket launcher that can do the most single target damage, and maybe that would elevate it out of the hole it's in. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense to just have it like this. I think there's some other stuff too. Firing speed in here is not correct, I believe. There's only 4 points, so I don't know where this was taken. But probably from some rebalance thing or whatever. Pretty sure Rocket Specialist 350 as well. But Observer can go above 100% bonus, even losing out some power on an uneven number such as starting with 20%, but ticks increment with 25, which means 95 cap. And I think this is the case on the Skull Color, which has like 20% damage bonus, only gets 4 points. So, or 3 points, and then you lose 5 points of damage bonus, which is like kind of insignificant, but also shouldn't be a thing, right? Many reasons system is responsible for an exploit involving the bypass of its limiter using uneven numbers and refunding these illegal upgrades into infinite money. I don't know about that. Maybe it has to do with the money exploits existing. Not sure how that actually works, to be honest. The system is thoroughly inconsistent because a lot of weapons use different named upgrades that achieve the same results. Jack's swing speed, quick fixes heal bonus, Beggar's super firing speed. It won't be picked up by the system, allowing a stack that would normally not be possible. The system not only fails to achieve any real purpose, not only cause exploits, but it also generally unfair to weapon balance. Direct hits with 125% damage would still have next to no splash damage, cause no imbalance, which is true. I would see it that way as well. And yeah, I don't know. They should just equalize everything out. Maybe on some weapons you can have like less points because they're like clip reloaders, like on, I don't know, on short staffs or solar poppers. Probably should get rid of the ghost upgrades too. I don't think this is mentioned in there, which is kind of just like a weapon switch upgrade bullshit bug or exploit, whatever you want to call it. Meta player to account should be hidden from the scoreboard, and plus inspect should be unrestricted again. The player inspect should definitely be unrestricted again. This was the most stupid change they ever did. Out of all the stupid changes, that's saying a lot. I mean, not being able to see upgrades of your teammates, kind of bad if you want to give advice to see what they're up to, as well as, it never achieved what it was intended to do, which was like fight people being toxic towards new players, I guess. That was the intention behind it, so you can see what they upgrade, so you can BS them or fucking bully them or whatever, I don't know. It was stupid as shit, but I don't know about tool count being hit. Again, I guess it would kind of be interesting for like random people. I don't know how you would pull this off with like stats being tracked in tools, badge tool counters and whatever. I mean, we're already scraping this and putting that into lists. So you could still figure it out if it is on a badge, if you really wanted to. But yeah, there would probably be less instant judgment of players, but you could still tell whether or not, if you see a tool count, if somebody knows what they're doing just by the behavior and what they're doing in general, in terms of the damage, support maybe. Toxicity and mana, yeah. Players are able to tell worth of blow by a quick glance at the tool count score. Judgments are instantly issued the moment you appear the tool count number. Regardless, the person is given a chance to entertain these numbers would go a very long way. Debatable. Reducing online arguments, maybe. And there's an extra bonus, the inspect restriction added 2021. Can you believe that? 4 years, over 4 years, should be undone. Community servers are also affected, which is true. Potato servers found like a somewhat modded way around it where you can inspect upgrades, but it's also not as straightforward, I would say. So it's kind of a quick fix in a way to even have something of that nature. Playing around strengths and weaknesses of your teammates was always one of the part of MvM, which inspects lets us do best, which is true. I mean, it's a cooperative game mode. You probably want to do some of that, unless you want to do insane fucking verbal conversations or text chat to figure out what the fuck people are up to, which is already a problem if there's like language barriers as well, so that's fucked up. Canteen prices need a revision, most certainly. Game breaking, you overpower anyone who does not use them is actively bringing the team down, which is kind of correct because they're so busted. Why wouldn't you use them? Unless you're some motherfucker like me who just refuses to do it. Canteens allow a single player to handle the burden of multiple people meant to coordinate together for negligible cost. Recommending these new prices, critical canteen increased from 100 to 200, which is doubled. Overcharge is quadrupled to 200, which is probably still fair to bring that on the same level. Because, you know, invulnerability for a prolonged time is probably still really strong. And you could just, you know, tank things that you're not supposed to for a prolonged time as well. Building canteen no longer heal up buildings. I would be okay with that. Because you can just abuse that as well. If you really quickly want to rebuild it, I still feel that's kind of fucked up. And remove some of the coordination and teamwork you would need to do to, you know, give your engineer maybe a chance to rebuild a ship. But you could also just wrangle, and then when the sentry is about to die, you just pop another canteen and you have full fucking health again. So you could just stall for forever. And yeah, it should probably be removed. Ammo refills increased from 25 to 50. It's kind of a minor boost, but ammo canteens are also used in conjunction with canteen sharing a lot, so you can also make that somewhat more broken. And teleport canteens increased to 25. I don't know, kind of okay, I guess. A little increase, but critical canteens allow a single player to destroy one to multiple giants at once, considerable damage to tanks with extreme ease. This canteen makes what should be the burden of 6 players trivial and sees its price reflected as such. Supercharged canteens is effectively just as potent as critical canteens in the hands of certain classes that do not suffer from reloads. Heavy pyros by all danger, risk, mistakes are nullified by this canteen. Increase the price to match that of the critical canteen. Building canteens is effectively the engineer's best canteen, comparable with critical supercharge in strength and usefulness. The unbalanced healing mostly comes from the free health replenish, which still works even if your sentry is already fully upgraded. It's combined with the wrangler grants abnormal amounts of health, which robots will not be able to break through. They could jump over it maybe, but they can like shoot it for eternity. And yeah, you could just pop another canteen, nothing happens. Slight increase ammo refill canteen's price due to its power when paired with external health basic. In addition, ammo refill should now restore an engineer's sentry gun ammo. I mean, interesting idea. I'm not sure how helpful that would be. You would probably have to coordinate that, as medics can't really see how much a sentry has, right? If you really want to share that. And ammo refill canteens can technically already be used by engineers to just refill the metal capacity back to max, but increased teleport canteen price, essentially a free instant respawn against certain death situations. So you can't just fucking spam it, I guess. Go back to spawn a couple times, then buy some more for 10 credits. I mean, 10 credits is kind of a, I don't know, nothing amount. Players should be free to choose diverse canteen types at once, respectively in the order in which they are bought. So, having a crit canteen, a supercharged canteen, maybe an ammo canteen at the same time, so multiple types of canteens. Interesting idea. You could like plan ahead with how you want to use it, maybe. So you could use 2 canteens, crit, an supercharge, and then a teleport back to spawn canteen, maybe. And then you could just buy more canteens and do that again. Even with the increased price, you could maybe plan it like this. But generally, I don't like the canteen system. I think it just takes away too much from the cooperative aspect. And you should probably just, I don't know, turn it into something that doesn't affect the game so much, where the cooperative aspect is just removed entirely. If some guy, you know, just uses a crit canteen and demolishes a major threat. Not sure. Or maybe you should rebalance your entire mission or the prices. I mean, you could try this and see what happens, but I still think even by increasing the price, there's situations where you can just abuse it. But that's just my take. Jump height requires revision. Jump height is absurdly powerful for such a tiny cast and exploits the next bot's inability to lead airborne targets. So you could just fly around constantly without being targeted. For 100 credits, 20% jump height. No penalty for consistently jumping around the Tier 2. This essentially lets most classes avoid huge enemy firepower at a negligible cost. I suggest making jump height consistent with the movement speed upgrade, plus 10% at 200. So you bring it down and increase the price a little. And I guess that could work out. I can see that happen. I mean, it's pretty easy for classes that probably shouldn't be jumping around as much to avoid certain dangerous situations. And the following penalty to Rive players: spawn with no loaded ammo, no reserve ammo, no metal, and no cloak. Makes survivability is extremely powerful and accessible to the point players willingly suicide to restore their weapons, even if in the midst of a fight. What ought to be the game's biggest punishment has turned into a repeatable strategy due to poor foresight and balance. Which is true, especially with the vaccinator, which revives so quickly. You could just kill yourself and then get rezzed in a matter of a second, which gives you full ammo again, full whatever you had, full health, right? And as it's stated, it should be a punishment, right? You shouldn't want to die in the game at all, right? You should want to survive. So being kind of rewarded for just a negative effect should probably not happen. So I would be okay with seeing this. I don't know how helpful it would be. I mean, you could still die, and then you would drop an ammo pack, right? When you die, and could pick up your own kill bound ammo pack that you dropped. So I don't know how big of an effect this would have. I mean, would have to be field tested, I guess. Randomized is like a mini shield that can block projectiles, which is also true, yeah. Should probably be, I don't know how it's coded, but you should probably be able to shoot through it and not just be able to hide behind it from any projectile or whatever is targeting you. That's true. Add these vulnerabilities to all giant robots. Following attack types are incredibly non-consequential in MvM and desperately need a buff. As many items exist around these. Bleed. I mean, bleed, I would argue, doesn't make any sense because the robots. I don't know how they would be bleeding. Maybe you could change that into like some toxic caustic thing, which would just be like a cosmetic fix at the end of the day, but it would make more sense. Targe, Bash, and Stomp, Mantrid, Stone, Foster should all deal 10 times damage against giant robots by default, free of charge. Not sure how much of an impact this would have. I couldn't even tell you how much charge damage something does, and how more that would be if you 10x'd it or 5x'd it in terms of burn. But again, we'll have to see it, have to try it, what the effect would be. Generally, you don't really wanna, I don't know, fly around. I guess with the thermal thruster you would fly around more and then maybe randomly land on something in terms of, you know, mobility. Mantrids, not really sure, kind of giving up a buff battle. So it would need to be really something incredible if you really wanted to make that item more of a use case. Okay. Tank changes. Tanks must no longer charge up any fire weapon item on hit, as it was designed so early MvM up until the mecha update. Bleed is dangerous because it can stuck. You mean like stack? Because headshot is bleed damage, so wouldn't that give Sniper even more damage against giants? I think that's addressed later down the line. But good point. You should definitely keep that in mind. So yeah, charging up stuff like the flog, for instance, or buff bars while just shooting the tank. Or Widowmakers recharging the metal, right? Drastic change is highly necessary in order to topple down the overpowered effectiveness of scant few weapons that benefit from this feature. Tanks letting player items charge up results in the buff bar focus on not only being able to self-sustain forever on tanks, but also lets a single player kill the tank by themselves due to the power of this effect. If it's designed as a team effort hazard, is no longer relevant because of this mechanic. MvM was originally designed without tanks charging up items and already had this game formula figured out. So we should probably just not be able to charge, which would increase maybe team coordination, cooperation again. Instead of having one single player as the tank bitch out there having to deal with all the tanks in a mission. And it kind of fucking sucks ass if you have so many tanks in specific waves already, where the entire length of a wave you're just stuck on tank duty. So it's not really the most exciting thing to be doing in the first place. But that could just be, a mission design thing instead of related to this, but it also could be related to that, as tanks might have increased health pools, but they normally would have not so much, and would require more people to chip in dealing with them. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see this. I have my doubts, to be honest. Tanks should ramp up a player's random crit chance on hit as it does with live enemies. Suggestion would help even out the discrepancies between various loadouts, but more importantly, it would also give melee weapons a much needed edge for MvM. It's also a compensation for the previous change. So you could do more damage by just getting more random crits if the ramp up for melee weapons would count for random crits on tanks. So the more you hit something with a melee weapon on a tank, the higher your crit chance would be if that weapon is able to crit anyway. Yeah, I guess. I mean, melee weapons are pretty good on tanks if you ever tried it before. With random crits especially, you could do a significant amount of damage. Sentry Buster changes. Sentry Busters should detonate if the target sentry gun is destroyed. This is necessary to compensate for a next bot exploit where you can keep sentry busters alive permanently due to detonating your sentry gun in mid-air, elevated enough to be out of range, but not high enough to cause the sentry buster to give up. This change would also provide a new strategy for engineers to sacrifice the sentry and utilize the sentry buster's friendly fire on demand. So yeah, sentry busters as pets, we've seen that before. People use it to keep them around, and medics have used them to just hit them with assaults and whatnot. I don't like this. It should be changed. Sentry busters shouldn't just be able to, be exploited like this. Kind of breaks the flow of everything too. Also kind of a bad idea to just throw away your sentry for something like that. You could throw it away to have this happen, and you kind of can still do it if you place a sentry in a place and then kind of have a feel for when the sentry buster is going to arrive, even though that can be kind of difficult to gauge with so many things happening. Milks, Sapples, Slow, Girardi, and just Natasha's maybe shooting it, so the timing of this would kind of be more controlled if you had the ability to do it, but you could also just abuse this in a way to grieve people, I guess, by just exploding your sentry. They won't know and the buster just goes up behind them. Then again, you could also just do this by running at them when the sentry buster is on top of them, so I don't know if this would be an insanely bad thing to happen, but I guess if you wanted to grief around with this, you could do it either way. Sentry buster should move up to the sentry engineer's last known position nav before detonating from a give up. This is a necessary countermeasure to avoid yet another exploit where sentry busters immediately detonate suicide and spawn if the target is unreachable. We've seen this all over the place, even in community maps, when you're just standing on a rock and the sentry buster doesn't know how to get to your position, so it just explodes and kind of defeats the whole purpose of it existing. So yeah, just have him move up where the sentry engineer was at last, and then maybe detonate there. should be able to do, right? So, another thing that I would like to see in terms of center busters before we come to the class changes is that shooting center busters actually doesn't, give you anything. Like, you can damage it and you can destroy them if you want, but it shouldn't increase. I don't know how you would do it. No clue. Maybe it's not possible at all whatsoever. But it shouldn't increase the damage you do, and it also shouldn't charge things like maybe buff banners or something. Maybe even medics shouldn't be able to just get easy uber out of this, because it's just super simple to attack something that can't fight back in the first place. And there's a lot of instances where people just inflate their damage by just outright targeting sentry busters without, the helping teammates aspect. And engineers do this all the time, where they just have their sentry being useless and shooting at sentry busters, and then the damage they dealt on the scoreboard doesn't actually reflect how much their actual input in completing a wave had, because they were just wasting their time on shooting a non-threatening, non-important target all the time. So that kind of skews the way you could potentially see how much somebody is helping or contributing in a game. But I don't know. This is my take, really. One thing that I kind of was missing in here, which is also something that a lot of people constantly kind of question, is the refund system, right? The refund system where you can just go and refund every wave. We had a limited system where you needed to collect a certain amount of money before you were able to refund once, which is kind of a problem if people upgrade in a shitty way and then they're fucking kind of a dead weight. So I don't know how you would balance around this. Maybe with a wave failure you can get access to a refund to be able to, adjust things, maybe figure things out, how to improve things instead. But you could also maybe see this as a, an abusable system where you can just force fail a wave and then get a refund back to do what, I don't know how you would possibly exploit this, but it feels like it's more of a waste of a time than benefit there. But I guess Valve just gave up ultimately, where they just fucking couldn't be bothered to figure out how to fix the infinite refund thing, and they just made it a feature at the end of the day. I mean, they removed it because there was an exploit. We still have tons of exploit in the game that give zero fucks about, so it's not really an excuse, is it? So, if they wanted to do something, they would also need to address the refund system again, because you can also just refund constantly and defeat the entire threat level of a wave by just adjusting to the damage type of a wave as well. So the difficulty that you had intended doesn't exist anymore, because you can just adjust whenever you fucking want every wave. It's kind of fucked up. So I would love to see that addressed in a way, but I highly doubt that's ever going to get touched. Scout changes. Money must be collected as soon as the player's scout is in valid range. Normally money attracted to a scout must play a twirl, where it just flies around. We've seen it time and again. Tornado-like physics animation to portray the process of becoming collected. However, this causes many problems. The collection animation is not visual. It actively displaces the money pile around and performs a line of sight check at the end to actually become collected. This means if the money pile ends up traveling around props or even into nearby rooms the scout passed, it will never finish the process and eventually vanish permanently. This magnet adds up with other physics sources, such as a second scout player nearby. So if you just have a twirl and then twirl some more, it might fly wherever and you can never find it again. right? And tank explosions as well. They constantly launch money if there's nothing above them. So the money in that twirl, in that launch, could fly really far away and go to places where you might never find it. Maybe not the biggest deal to lose like 20 or 10 bucks on a tank explosion or money flying around, but still something you could potentially fix. I mean, it's fixed in community as well, where you just see the money, it comes towards you or whatever, and then you just have it. So yeah, another issue is the magnet delay can mean life or death to a fresh scout out of spawn. Half a second travel delay can be quite literally too long to survive in a threatening area. Yeah, that also happens. You see the money, it's coming towards you, you're basically just inhaling it, and you don't get the benefit from it because it just took that split second too long. The backscatter should be able to deal back crits against tanks. So I don't know how much that would affect things. If you were able to deal back crits. I don't even think it does crits to normal targets, right? It just mini crits to the stuff that you shoot in the back. So I don't know how crits against tanks do in the back. Kind of also wouldn't pair very well with the Criticola. I mean, you could run this and the Criticola, but it would kind of not synergize very well. So maybe just turn this into the mini crits again. And then you can still power it up more with just the Criticola maybe. I don't know. I like this though, because the backscatter is kind of a hard sell, because you have less damage, because you have less of a clip. I have to actually look at the stats. I remember them. You already can random crit, which could help on tanks. I guess the less accuracy is not too bad if you're just shooting at giant targets, but yeah, if you want to go back, get to the normal clip size of a base scatter gun, you would already have to invest extra money into that. So having something specifically like tuned to the back scatter, which has the mini crits from the back, maybe you can turn that on tanks as well. I mean, it should work, right? I can't see how that would be a problem. And then you have like the sidearm stuff. Pistols, Dark Pretty Boy's pocket pistol, Winger must provide 3 seconds of 100% crits on kill for free of charge. Addition is essentially the only way the sidearms can ever compete with more utility standard secondaries such as Mad Milk. So if you kill something, you get crits, and then you get crit damage for free, which should bring up the damage you're dealing with the weapon if you're actually investing into it, which could make this a like subclass kind of thing, maybe like Demonite in a way, where you can still be useful without being a total, dead weight. But I think this would be fine. I don't know about the time, 3 seconds, and you would have to get a kill. I mean, these weapons already don't do too much damage, so you would really be just trying to luck out in a way. Maybe with the crit boost you could chain it. I don't even know if this was ever... I think there was some potato missions where this was the case, where we had this as like a overclock or something. But it's kind of hard to judge how useful it is when you have a team of 5 with other things and more stuff going on, so you have to do like long-term testing on how well this does. Flying Guillotine should deal 100% crits for free of charge. This is necessary to provide a means to kill an enemy Uber-medic in one hit. The critical cleaver deals 150 damage on impact. Flying Guillotine is not useful or powerful enough to provide any advantage over the more utility standard secondaries without this change. Okay, you can give it free of charge crits, but then you have one throw to deal maybe with one Uber medic. But then what? It's more of like a situational thing, unless you maybe upgrade it so in such a way where it just instantly recharges. Not really sure how fast the recharge is in the base game. I know we had something like that in Potato before, and I guess it was okay, but it also kind of is silly to just throw meat cleavers around constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I don't even know how you would turn this into like maybe a combo weapon or something. Like you could maybe make something bleed or and then have I don't know. I don't know. I really have no clue about this. I don't use this thing at all because it's so useless. I think I've used fucking rap assassins more than I used flying guillotines. That's saying a lot, I guess. Mad Mode Girardi slow upgrade is incorrectly assigned. So the minus 35% speed on target isn't actually minus 35% speed. The attribute itself is set to cause the victim to move at 35% of their speed. Attribute value requires correction. Increment must be changed to that, and the cap must be changed to this. Right. So misleading. I mean, it slows things down, but it slows things down too much, I believe. As it should, if I understand this correctly. And I think this is ever only really useful on giant scouts to begin with. Like any other normal robot, maybe sentry busters, but you don't really want to slow those down in the first place unless there's like some situation where you might have the chance to save a sentry of an engineer that died or something, but it's kind of a fringe case again. Really, it's just a waste to just throw it at the sentry busters. Unless you just have the chance to kill them outright, I guess. But yeah, it's not correct what it says, so it should be fixed. Atomic Punch should inherit the push force upgrade from Demoman This is kind of interesting. You could kind of use this as a run-in and kind of stall option more effectively if you had the push force upgrade on it, right? That means that you can't be pushed around. High knockback reduction works on passive bonus for general money collection purposes, right? So if you can't just get to the money because you get spammed with projectiles, this would help you just avoid getting splashed around while under the effect of the bonk. I can see that being a thing. I'm not sure about, I guess it's not too expensive, 100, 300. You probably, I don't know if you would upgrade the recharge on this as well. I don't know. Could probably make it work. It's not too expensive to begin with. Criticola should inherit the buff duration upgrade from Soldier's Banners. Not sure about this. I don't use the Criticola enough to know if this is a necessary change or not. In terms of how much it recharges or how long it lasts, actually. Extra incentive for players to learn to use their weapon to scout something that's highly lacking in most setups. Which is true, but you could also learn it without just giving scouts something else to waste their money on before they actually upgrade the actual weapon. So I'm not sure how well that would function. You would need to have a proper upgrade path, I would assume, before you can make use of the increased buff duration on this thing and make it useful. But I don't know, I'm not a fucking critical user at all. Just once in a while I use it and then, I don't know. I just don't really, I don't know, I'm not a fan, I guess. But I do know that people use it to a great extent. So I don't know. Critical would be a mistake. Plenty of damage scouts run it. But plenty of damage scouts run it, my god. Especially against giants and tanks. Critical is anyway good only against tanks because you can just fan of war all other robots. I mean, this is more of like a self damage boost, right? You get crits, you don't get mini crits from it. I think. Right? I use this so little, I just don't even know. Oh, each attack mini crits and sets marked for death for 5. Oh, wait, no. That's just what you get when you shoot something. Yeah, just mini crits. I thought it was critting. Hmm. I don't know. I think on single clip reloads, if you had like a massive clip size, this might be too strong. I'm not sure. I don't know. All scout melee should receive the mark on hit upgrades the Sandman has. In addition, the price must be lowered from 500 to 200. I think it's too expensive. 200 would be okay. Kinda gives a use case to other weapons, even though they're still somewhat worse because you have to buy it. In terms of the Sandman, you lose no wait, the Atomizer. What was the Atomizer? What's the Sandman in this? It's not even in here. No, the Sandman loses health. Unbelievable. Sandman loses health. You would still be able to mark, and then the balls too. I don't know how that would work on a sun and a stick, because that doesn't have any balls to begin with. So how would the marking do? I guess you could just hit them with it, not specifically the ball thing. I guess you could do it. Reduce the high price of the empowered medics milk silos. I guess the price for this would be on the same level as this. I guess so, but you can't really throw anything. You will have to just use it normally. If you hit something, you get mini crits with the Boston Basher, for instance. And does bleeding actually mini crit as well? I don't even know if mini crits. Bleeding affects mini crits. No, the other way around. If mini crits affect bleeding. I have no idea actually. Maybe it does. Soldier changes. Rocket Specialist. Look at this read. Holy shit. Rocket Specialist needs some revision as it is extremely powerful and does not balance out its upgrade ticks evenly. It's probably the biggest flaw of this entire upgrade right there. Rocket Specialist takes out all established TF2 combat mechanics by letting the player stay away and hit enemies from a safe distance at near full strength for a class meant to be engaged directly into short-medium range. Rocket Specialist's stun power can hold the strongest of giants permanently in the lock for as long as the player shoots. All this for one level of power. In addition, Rocket Specialist's fully spread out upgrade design actively punishes players who invest more than one level in, as it is high priced and vaguely unclear. Rocket Specialist requires the following. Stun power and fall-off reduction should scale linearly across all 4 levels, up to current MvM's power at full strength. As an extra nerf, Rocket Specialist should disable all forms of knockback onto enemies, as it already locks them in place. A price reduction from 300 to 200 per level would compensate these changes nicely. Blast radius and blast projectile speed bonuses remain unchanged. So yeah, as it stands, the only benefit you're having from more levels right now is getting a blast and projectile speed bonus. For 350 credits is basically not a good investment, and you should probably not do it beyond that. But if you scale it where each level would increase it by a little bit more, I guess, could make it work, but I also could just see this being reduced to just 1 point and maybe forget about this. Then again, I don't know how effective this blast radius increases. I guess it's kind of neat to have, and the projectile speed would make it more useful for weapons. You know, just reach your target faster. I actually have no idea how this scales with Direct either, because that already has like a faster projectile speed to begin with. So you could have a projectile that's super fast if you have multiple levels of this. But it definitely needs to be changed. I think it shouldn't be able to just do full damage from across the map by just getting this one upgrade. I don't know how disabling all forms of knockback would work though. If you shoot something, the target cannot get moved anymore, not by any other knockback weapons like loose cannons or like Force and Angels, Air Blast. Could be like more of a counter weapon situation, where you have people using knockback in a way that they just intend to grief with, I guess. I don't know. Rocket Jumper's 100% damage, negative downside, should be lowered to minus 15 damage free of charge natively in man versus machine mode. This weapon's history, goal, and purpose is redundant and unfitting in TF2, let alone in MvM. This weapon quite literally takes away a soldier player's only means of attack and severely brings the team down. This weapon is an affront to the game and an indirect grief. Converting some of the damage back would effectively provide a new weapon for free. I mean, you don't really see it used frequently. We had some modifications in community MvM on it, and with the redone design, it looks more of a training wheel weapon. Even if people don't read the description on it, there are some really strange outlier cases where you've seen it, even in Man Up, and it's kind of fucked, right? Even though it's kind of funny too, because it does fucking 0 damage. But you could bring it down to just minus 15 on the same level as the delivery launcher, I think, where you just have it be a normal weapon. But I would rather see it with more of a use case, to be honest. Maybe you could use this as like a combo weapon with the base jumper, some jumper combo thing, where you maybe get some benefit from using the rocket jumper, then the base jumper, and then when you use the rocket jumper again, you do something. I'm not sure. When crits work with bleed damage, boosts damage from 4 to 5. Crits don't work. Okay. I mean, it's not an insane increase, but I guess the more it ticks, the more it's like a minor increase. More helpful. I don't know. Probably not that big of a deal. So yeah, it was more of a training weapon to learn how to rocket jump, but at the same time, I mean, is it really necessary nowadays? Not sure. You could just learn with normal rocket launchers as well instead. So, no clue. I would still love to see just more of a utility thing, or combo weapon maybe. I don't know how you would do it. So, what you would do it with it, no clue. Beggar's Bazooka reload upgrade must be removed. Here's the big one. This weapon's effectiveness, combined with MvM's upgrade, is through the charts. None of this weapon is picked up by the upgrade station's tick limiter, and this gun's DPS quite literally spirals out of control and outdoes anything else Soldier is capable of. Given the strongest part of the Beggar's Bazooka resides in the reload upgrade for tap firing, I suggest disabling it entirely for this item as a means to funnel players into using the Barrage ability more often. Just how the gun was originally designed for the Pyromania update. Yeah, Beggars, the biggest elephant in the room, right? People are always like, oh no, we can't possibly, nerf this thing. It's just totally balanced. It's just the upper echelon of players that really know how to fucking use it. And okay, man. Okay, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's absolutely fucking broken, but sure. So yeah, definitely should not be possible to just tap fire this fucking thing continuously for eternity, as long as you have a ammo pack, some medic up your arse, or ammo canteens. Right? Whichever you have to give you constantly ammo, you could just continuously shoot with this thing. And it's kind of broken for something that deals so much damage, especially considering you compare it with Conjurer, which gives you insane fucking health back by just dealing insane damage with it. So turning it back into what it used to be, more of a load up and then fucking burst fire thing, could be interesting to see. I don't know how you would pull it off. It would probably need something more along the lines of being able to load it up faster to make more use of the barrage if you really want to increase the clip size of it. Something like the airstrike, for instance, where you're fucking airborne and then you just have faster firing speed with it as long as you're airborne. Something like this maybe, or maybe you can do something like I don't know, you have a barrage loaded up, you shoot it out, you kill something, and that helps you load up the next barrage again faster? I'm not sure. But something around that system, I guess, since that's how it was intended to be used to begin with, and not this fucking busted ass shit that we're having right now. But that's just me. I'm sure everybody that loves the Beggars Bazooka would be like, ah! No! Don't touch my baby! But it needs to go. Honestly. Come on. Just be serious. Count Angle 9000, when I read this, I was like, wait a second. It's not that called 9000, right? So yeah, the weapon's actually called 5000, but okay, well, I don't know if this is intentional, a joke, or something else. Should have its charge attack ability clip drain cost down to 1 ammo for free of charge. So I don't know how you would like do this. A charge technically is just a full charge of your whole clip, right? That's the point of the charge, just charging it with 1 clip. Kind of weird. It would make sense. It would make it less, bad, I guess. But the charge time is also kind of long. And what it does is kind of, I don't know, a bit fire, a bit burning, and then you also have like a kind of a lot of knockback, where just things might fly all over the place. So I don't know. I guess the use case of this would be more interesting against sentries, maybe, where you can just stun them more often without expending too much ammo. But given that main downside of a charge shot is a long wait time and the loss of movement in such a fast-paced game mode, it is only fair that it should not also deplete your entire clip in the process. This addition would also fix a problem where charge shots become less and less useful the more you upgrade your gun's clip size, which is true. Because if you have 4 clip and then you charge shot it does the same amount of damage as if you have an 8 clip and then you charge shoot it, right? Which kind of doesn't make any sense. And you don't want to do it to begin with, because you basically just waste more shots for no benefit whatsoever. The idea I had, which I don't know if you can even do in a way, beyond this one ammo per charge shot. Why doesn't the charge shot just actually do the charge damage? Right? If you have a clip size of 4 and you shoot a charge shot, why can't it just do the damage of 4 rockets? Or something equivalent to that measure, and then the more clip size you have, when you have like 6 in a clip and you do a charge shot, it does the damage of 6 rockets or something equivalent. Like, I don't know, at least have it burn longer or something like this. Like, so you would actually have the investment in clip size benefit the weapon system, and you would have a incentive to actually fire it as a charge shot too. Just, I don't know if you would do it or not, if you could do it or not, but I could see this being a maybe feature of this beyond the not requiring ammo in the first place. It would kind of feed into that system too, because you would be able to have a bigger clip size, charge shot more, and then have the unlimited ammo to just continue reloading it and charge shooting it. And yeah, I don't know. Too strong, maybe. A weird idea, I don't know. Righteous Bison, totally fucked to be honest. Should have Thompson's drained by default in MvM. Added much needed anti-medic utility to otherwise fairly good crowd control weapon. I don't know about the fairly good crowd control. I don't use this too much. I use it like in a few cases and it was okay, I guess. Projectile speed is kind of fucked. I feel like it's too slow. Before you hit something, the target you're aiming at is already dead, unless you're like point blank at something. So I would like to see that be increased. The drain could be like an interesting sidearm in a way for the Righteous Bison, where you could just use it at Uber Medic or any giant medic or whatever, and then have that Uber not be there anymore, the way you use the Thompson as well as an engineer. And then you could just switch to your primary and then deal with Uber Medics this way, instead of having the need to either random crit, but use a crit canteen, buff banner yourself, right? To maybe deal with Uber Medics. Could be a functional way, but I still think the projectile is just too slow, if you ask me. Then we have the other sidearm shotgun, stock reserve shooter, panic attack, must provide 3 seconds with 100% crits free of charge, which we've seen in the scout already. To bring it up with banners as well, we've seen this before. And you don't normally upgrade to 2 weapons in MvM, or shouldn't upgrade 2 weapons in MvM. So maybe you could combo this as well. You get a shotgun kill, you get crits on a weapon, and then you switch to your primary maybe and use that. I don't know if this is the intention, or if you just use it on the weapon itself to be able to make more use of it. This is something that I thought, does that actually make sense? Paint Train should passively let its user block, defend robot capture points in all maps, as well as cause a bomb timer to reset faster, if applicable. There's the case, right? If applicable. It would be a very strange use case weapon, and where you just, it's only useful if you have any of these things. Like Rodenberg doesn't have any gates, doesn't help there. It would help with the bomb timer reset, but is that actually a good thing? Like how would that work? Do you just have to have it equipped and I can be across the map and the bomb timer just resets faster? Or do I have to actually be actively close to the bomb for the timer to go down faster? I'm not sure how you would make that work. And then you also have missions where you have bombs that don't actually reset, so there's no use case for it if you don't have gates or the bombs don't reset whatsoever. So I don't know. Right now I think it gives you like bullet damage vulnerability. It just helps you cap faster, which doesn't really come into play in MvM whatsoever. So capture rate, yeah, bullet damage 10%, which doesn't really benefit you or anyone. And I kind of feel like you could maybe turn this into something along the lines of the half Satoichi, where you get the benefit of regaining health from a kill, right? I mean, it's called a pain train, right? So I would expect it to, if you bring the pain, you can turn it into a train, right? So if I get a kill with it, I get a benefit through that kill that allows me to continue using the weapon. So kind of like, I don't want to say the KGB where you just get crits from it, but in a way you could maybe have this for soldier as well. Maybe that could be interesting, where you turn that into a melee combo weapon, or you combo it with like a secondary, where you bring the pain and then you continue to train of that pain with some other weapon, in a way. Not sure how interesting that would be. I mean, soldier melee weapons aren't exactly the most insane thing to use to begin with. We got the most use of, I think, escape plans, where people just use it to run away faster. I don't think the equalizer gets any use, or it's the other way around, because I can't remember what weapon does what anymore. And I guess the whip, because you just whip people. The whip also has a larger melee range, which is kind of a thing. I don't know if that should be a thing. Not sure. That is kind of the only ones, and then you have the off Satoichi, which does have its uses. You can use it against Demo Knights if you're brave enough to get like a one-hit kill with it. I know people exploit that too, with like Demo Knight crits on that weapon, and then you equip that on soldier, and then you have the crit on kill effect on soldier, which also should probably be something that should be fixed, right? But alright, not sure. What other melee weapons do we have for soldier? No, I think that's pretty much it, right? Pain Train? Pain Train's also Demo Man, so that would be something you could combo with on Demo Man too. You need to consider that as well, right? It's just not a soldier weapon, but also for Demo Man, so it would kind of need to make sense for that as well. Yeah. Power changes. Flog must be revised. It stands, this weapon is one of the strongest in the mode and is game-breakingly devastating. The Flog is so powerful it single-handedly causes missions to be balanced around it alone. This weapon simply spirals out of control and power in the hands of any competent player. Phlogiston was originally given a small MvM specific nerf many years ago, which is 10 times requirement for the mechanic, which basically gives you the crit boost on demand. This weapon was proven to be ineffective and inconsequential, given purchasable upgrade offset this nerf entirely. Although a large issue is its self-sustainability towards tanks, addressed earlier in this document, it's given fact that the Phlogiston is simply the best weapon Pyro can use at all times, even tanks unaccounted for, because controlled critical hits on a primary weapon is obviously the strongest ability in TF2. I would say so, if you can just decide whenever you want to have crits or not. This is too strong, right? A compromise must be made. The Phlogiston must not have a damage upgrade in the upgrade station, but as a compensation, 10 times requirement must also be removed. This means users will still enjoy plenty of critical hits, however they will no longer be able to have their damage output sextupled on demand. This change alone would bring Pyro's other primary weapons finally on par with the Phlogiston. And I could kind of see this being a thing, where you just are able to charge it up faster, use it more often, and then have the crits without having the damage upgrade. But I think I did one run with like a backbone before where I didn't use any damage upgrades, and that was kind of strong in its own right too. And it's kind of comparable to that, because getting back crits is also kind of a situational crits on demand, right? Where you can just get crits whenever you want, as long as you're in the right position. So, would it be fair to have damage upgrades on the backbone? I guess. Since you can't just decide on a whim to give yourself crits from all angles, you have to be in a specific position for it to actually happen. And the robots don't have to look allowed to look at you to get that benefit. But we'll have to see it to actually know how well this works out, and if it's not too much. But the one thing that I would love to see removed is just the taunt cancelling. Like the taunt cancelling, where you just jump on something, use the taunt, and then get pushed off, and then you immediately have the flog available, which gives you longer crit time already, which we already said flog crits is already broken, so having more time of the broken thing is more broken. Big surprise. You can also get the benefit of the brief invulnerability that you get by using the flog taunt, which makes the broken thing that's broken more broken and extra more broken. And yeah, we should kind of figure out what to do with that. I mean, back in the day, you could just stand on a robot head and could stall forever if they would never notice you. They would never move. So they implemented it that you would get pushed off, but the side effect is that you could just taunt cancel out of that specific thing and get a benefit for this weapon. And then just gets abused more, I guess. So I would kind of want to see that fixed in a way. Just like how if I eat a sandwich, right, and I get knocked away when I eat a sandwich, I don't continue eating my sandwich. I lose the ability of what I wanted to do, right? So if I use a flog taunt cancel on somebody's head, I should just not retain the ability. If I drink a Criticola and get knocked away a bit, I don't get the effect of drinking my Criticola, because I was never able to finish it. So if I don't fully do the taunt, you should not get the benefit. Rewards you for jumping on robot head. Yeah, but the jumping on robot's head is not, an insanely difficult thing to do in the first place. And why should Pyro get that benefit? Why can't I jump on the robot's head as any other class and then just be allowed to get some benefit from it? It's pretty hard if they focus you. I mean, what about tanks? You're just standing on the back of the tank and then you get a benefit. Like, what is the difficulty there? So, I don't know. I think it needs to go. It should not be a thing. And you can still perform your role without having that ability. As was the case before they implemented that strange fix where it pushes you off robots' heads or whatever. Now this is one that's kind of strange to me. Backburners should be allowed to deal many crits to the back of tanks. Should it though? I mean, just think about it. It's a weapon that doesn't need to reload, right? So you could just continuously be behind tanks and give yourself mini crits as long as you have ammo. And if you compare that with other flamethrowers like Stark or the Greaser, which don't get that benefit, would make those worse choices over the Backburner, even if it has increased, air blast cost to begin with. They would ultimately end up as a worse flamethrower to deal with tanks compared to the Backburner, because standing behind the tank suddenly gives you this insane benefit. And it doesn't really make any sense to me to give it to that. It would be in line with the weapon, just like with the backscatter, but the backscatter is also a weapon that requires reload. So there's some downtime in between, and I can't just continuously stream into the back of the tank to get increased damage bonuses from it. So I don't like this, to be honest. Air blast behavior must be revised. As of Jungle Inferno 2017, the air blast mechanics have been altered in a way that bypasses all previous designs to clamp push effectiveness against bots, and especially giant bots. This means giant robots are currently pushed by air blast at full PvP strength, whereas before it was merely a small nudge. A quick fix would be to set the command blah 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 natively to Manuel's machine, which will revert to proper air blast behavior. And we've established this in community MvM as well. So air blast actually does function as it was intended before. So this would be the easiest of things to fix for them. And yet, they haven't done it for 8 years. I don't know. Says a lot, I guess, about the way they do, their thing. So I have low expectations of MvM updates simply because of this one fact. It's the easiest thing they would be able to fix, and yet they're not doing it. Messed up. Scorch Shot Special Push must be fixed to not affect giant robots, attributes, minibars. This specific issue was broken and fixed and broken again multiple times throughout the game's history. This is kind of a Valve thing too, right? They try to fix something, then it breaks, they fix it again, and it breaks again, and then they just throw up the hands in the air and say, you know what? Fuck this shit. And I can understand that probably is frustrating, but at the same time, you should probably fix it. Right? If we would do this with every fucking thing that was broken over the entirety of this game's lifetime, it would just be a complete mess. So, even though it's not the biggest deal and you don't see it too much anymore because people use gas pass like 99% of the time over this, I mean, you could still use this as a method to grieve. So just like with the air blast, it should probably be fixed. And then we have this again, shotgun, Stark with crits, blah blah blah. Secondaries, blah blah blah, we've seen this before. And it's basically the same thing. Burn time upgrade for flamethrowers do not function as of Jungle Inferno 2017, presumably due to the new linear scale mechanic. So this used to work and it doesn't anymore. It hasn't worked since 2017, another 8 years, broken upgrade. Then again, could make the argument that it isn't the biggest deal if you increase your burn damage, but this amount. It's minuscule damage to begin with, and should probably just be bought if it was functional, if you had tons of money left over at the end of the day. So you should probably not buy this, but it should also be fixed so it actually does do what it says it does. And for God's sake, can we address the elephant in the room when it comes to pyro? Give the fucking man melter some love, okay? This is just about gas pass. What happened to the man melter? The man melter has fuck all when it comes to upgrades. It has an interesting mechanic where you could get crits by extinguishing teammates, you know. So why not give it more usability by having it actually fire at a speed like the other weapons do? So you could maybe bank a bunch of crits up, switch to your man melter on a giant, and then pew 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 pew, get a massive fucking load of crits into them maybe? I don't know. Maybe do something to the man melter to bring it out of the fucking grave it has been in since the existence of MvM. Jesus Christ. Gas passes explode and ignite must be revised, as it is exceedingly powerful and full of bugs. This upgrade suffers from an exceedingly large amount of bugs and problems, and is able to outdo fully geared primary weapons as a secondary throwable for a tiny cost. The explosion damage itself is of the bleed type, which does not factor resistances, right? So you can't resist bleed. I don't even know if the battalion's backup is able to resist bleed. But the robots certainly get decimated by it, and you don't see battalion's backup, even if it was affected by this. Reduce this damage by too much, I think. Damage type should be changed to blast damage. Makes sense, right? Explode is in the name of it. It should probably explode instead of bleed. Explosion triggers seems to account the initial afterburn tick as well as nearby coded robots' own explosions, which causes a cascade of chain reactions, which stacks the damage to extremely high counts and not 350 as advertised. Although the explosion damage is simply too high, even not accounting the bugs above, 350 should be lowered to 100 as to keep the item in line with the secondary tier of weaponry, as well as keeping it in line with the price paid for. So I don't know how that 100 damage would fare. If it does multiple explosions, maybe this is the intention. Like if it does 100 damage and then it explodes like 3 times, maybe possibly it does like 300 damage and not like doing 300 350 damage on one explosion and then kind of changes around with multiple explosions. Everything just basically dies at that type of, you know, damage. But if you had like one explosion that does 100, then maybe another explosion triggers somewhere else because something else got coded. You could kind of have like a stair effect of chip damage to kill something. But yeah, it's a stupid weapon. It's too easy to use. And as we all know, it was brought bad times to MvM for a long time. Now this is kind of funny. Should a coded robot harm themselves with their weapon, a bug will occur that the explosion changes team and hurts red players. So if you code something, like a soldier for instance, in gas, and then that soldier shoots like a wall or the floor and triggers the explosion itself instead of, you know, your own team, the explosion effect gets turned from red to blue, and the explosion can actually kill the pyro that initially threw the gas pass in the first place, or anybody else on your team that's too close to the explosion at that point, which resulted in some funny moments where pyros were just dying to their own gas passes, which, you know, is hilarious, and I kind of would love to not see this fixed, but it kind of would make sense, right? To not have the explosion just change teams randomly because they didn't throw the gas parcel. But it does make for a funny moment. Then changes. Loose cannons double dunk should deal full critical hits natively in MvM. Without this change, the loose cannon pales in MvM and is unable to serve as a primary weapon, output by itself, unlike virtually all other primary weapons in the game. Blast pushing robots can easily be done by sticky bombs and other piped bombs. Loose cannon's damage upgrade has a bug where the impact damage always deals a value of 50 no matter what and should be fixed. Loose cannon's special push must be fixed to not affect giant robots, attributes minibars, like before, similar to Scorch Shot's case where it used to be fine and was eventually broken. So this weapon is really not seen as something that you want to have in MvM because the knockback is annoying. You do mediocre damage, broken as well. So if they would want to fix this, you would really need to see some of that stuff fixed as well. Like the knockback on giants especially. It's kind of wild to see giants just pooped around like this with this thing. But at the same time, you're being incredibly disruptive by doing basically no damage. It's fucked up, if you think about it. So yeah, it should probably do what it says it should, right? Double dunk, you dunk something, you get good with that, and you get crits, right? And you should be able to fully utilize that weapon. Since it's an interesting weapon to use, you can charge it, you can time it, and if you have a feel down for the distances and how much you need to charge it up to get the effect, you could turn this into an interesting, fun primary weapon beyond just spamming pills out with the other weapons, right? Now the shocking thing is this is the only demoman change for me. Should there be other demoman changes? And I thought the scores was kind of broken, right? And it should be addressed. But at the same time, that weapon kind of is only broken because Valve's mission system is kind of slow paced and gives scores users too much time to set up. And if the canteens aren't there and the medic support isn't there, is it really too strong to have that weapon out? I mean, you could still have a big pile and then kind of have, you know, a situational, a crit canteen where you could use it. But is it too strong? I'm not really sure. I think if the pacing is changed and you aren't allowed to just set it up, or if there's some other change where robots actually actively focus and avoid sticky bombs or target your sticky bombs, for instance like bullet classes, when they see sticky bombs on the floor they actively try to target them and shoot them down, which you can do, you can destroy sticky bombs like that, right? You could maybe nerf that weapon down that way. Maybe that's too much of a nerf as well. But who knows? Would be interesting. Interesting to see, for sure. Heavy changes. Minigun speed upgrade for all miniguns should be removed, so the firing speed. This upgrade single-handedly bolsters an already formidable weapon into relentless killing power. That takes to on any threat single-handedly. Heavy's miniguns are able to consistently outmatch every upgraded class in the game, given that MvM is designed around a defensive position, where opponents have no self-preservation and walk straight into Heavy. Heavy is so powerful in MvM that the hardest made waves have people often choose multiple Heavies. For a team, given no other class is capable of such raw firepower for so little price or trade-off. Community samplings have shown for years that Heavy's base minigun is fully functional, viable output that is able to keep up with other classes in effectiveness with no further DPS boost at all. And yeah, you could just play Heavy without the firing speed and still be able to dish out tons of damage. And I wouldn't really mind if this was gone. I don't think a lot of people would even notice the difference, if you ask me. As long as the stopping power and damage is still there. And it might actually encourage people to upgrade other things, you know, like more survivability over firing speed to begin with, which, you know, the faster firing speed doesn't really help you if you're dead in the first place. So I would be okay with this. I don't know if you maybe could have a different thing for miniguns. Specifically, like other miniguns. I mean, the Hulong has the fire ring and it already boosts itself by putting something on fire, but we also have had experiments with heavies like shooting flare projectiles, right? Like a flare gun, minigun, or something along those lines. I don't know how well those tests were. I don't remember if there was like a minigun. We had like a bison shooting minigun before, which was, I don't think was anything amazing. With like some homing projectiles too, I believe. I don't know if we've had a single minigun that was custom made that was not totally either broken or just ass. I can't really recall. Knockback Rage needs its description updated, right? It says not what it actually does, which leads to a lot of people misusing it. Though Knockback Rage can be put to excellent use, one of its less known inner workings is that it halves heavy weapons' DPS for its duration and cannot be used as a straight upgrade ability. This should be made clearer in the description. Minus 50% damage dealt while in use, right? So that the ability can be more situationally considered, right? So if there's a giant robot and they walk at you, you don't want to push them away, because pushing them away means you do less damage on top of your already lower damage to the damage fall off you have by them being further away. And I believe they do stack, right? But you definitely can feel the difference from heavies that just continuously use knockback rage. On top of it being disruptive too. I don't even know if they should probably make it more clear what each point even adds to the upgrade as well. Because I couldn't even tell you. Does it charge? Maybe it could charge faster. Maybe it could knock back more. Maybe the duration could be longer. What does it do? No clue. Then we have shotguns for heavy, and I don't know why heavy gets 8 seconds of crits or mini crits. Wait, he gets mini crits. I guess mini crits because you could just switch off with crits, then have maybe your main weapon. Well, that's weird. This edition is essentially the only way sidearms can compete. Yeah, secondaries a sin, which is this edition come perfectly with an upgraded primary weapon, since players rarely upgrade 2 weapons at once. Oh yeah, so it's like a combo thing where you kill something with the shotgun, then you get mini crits. Like you would get a crit kill if you punch something with the KGBs. So that's probably why it's mini crits, as crits would be too strong. But then it's 8 seconds, and if you kill something with a shotgun and then switch, you also have the spin up time to consider. If you have a brass beast, for instance, it takes longer, so maybe you have less use out of this, so maybe that's why the time is higher. We'll have to try it. Buffalo Steak should receive an upgrade to boost its mini crits into full crits. Necessary buff to make the playstyle suggested by this item properly viable given the high power of miniguns in MvM. But the thing is that when you eat it, you're restricted to melee weapons, right? So you can't even eat it and then use a primary weapon. And the main drawback from this, isn't it also that it gives you like a debuff? Plus 20% damage vulnerability. So you take 20% more damage from everything while you ate this thing. And you get melee restricted as well. I never really liked that. It's more like an ambush type weapon, where you really don't want to be seen because everything else is just gonna squeeze you dry the moment somebody fucking shoots at you. So I like the idea of it, and it probably should just be a situational thing. And I think it's in a good place actually, where you can use it, as heavy already does less damage. This should also be set somewhere, right? now that we're talking about it. Miniguns doing less damage on tanks should be somewhere on Heavy's description. I don't think it ever was mentioned anywhere. So this could be more of a situational weapon for tank busting for Heavy, as his primary weapon is already not very good. That's a lie. It's pretty okay when it comes to actually dealing with tanks who just continuously shoot a minigun at it. Even especially on the effect of mini crits and crits, you can put a decent amount of damage in it. But you could pair this around with the warrior spirit, as it already is being used, and tanks normally don't fight back, so you could make a use case for pairing this with the warrior spirit, specifically for a case where Heavy is required to help with tank busting, which would be the case if all the changes like previously mentioned with the pyro, where team coordination against tanks is a bigger requirement again. So I don't think this would be necessary, really, to even touch, as long as the players actually know what it does, and don't accidentally eat it, and then just expect to have those mini crit effects on the minigun. Not a holiday punch, which is a sad tale. Holiday Punch should be updated to have its innate nerf semi-reverted. The laugh stun was disabled entirely in MvM many years ago, rendering this item completely useless, suggesting just removing the nerf and re-adding the stun ability with the following changes. Giant robots cannot be stunned, attribute minibars, as we've seen before. Affected robots must use the stun animation rather than the laugh animation to go around missing animation issues. So the thing about the Holiday Punch back in the day was that you could just upgrade its attack speed, get random crits with it, and then continuously stun lock giants, bosses, whatever it was, you could stop it. Sentry bosses, stop it in its tracks with laugh, and because they weren't moving for a certain amount of time, would just explode on the spot. Without animations too, which would throw off your teammates, and so that they rightfully nerfed this thing, but also in that same process made it kind of useless, because if you crit with it, you don't do any damage. If you just punch something, you do normal damage any other fist would do. So maybe you could have this be a thing where it has more of a case. I don't even know if the stun makes any sense. I mean, laughing also doesn't make any sense because they have robot humor suppression pumps basically inside of them, technically, if you want to be fully accurate. But holiday. Maybe, it would be a stun if it's a stun, but it's a holiday punch, so maybe you do something related to that. I'm not sure how you would do that. Maybe freeze them in place. Would that actually be helpful? It could benefit some people, but if you freeze them in place, they can't move. They can still shoot, but they can't move. Would that be something that you would actually try to use and want to have? I'm not sure. Maybe you could make them drunk, like a holiday punch. You know, the robots, they don't get drunk either. I know, but where they just slow down on whatever weapon they're using. They're having lower or slower firing rates or less accuracy. I don't know, I'm just talking out my ass at this point. I would love to see the stun come back, but if it's just against random single targets, I don't know how effective that would be. Maybe a get out of jail free card where you just need to escape and have this one moment. Actually, I couldn't even tell you if... What if you get a fucking taunt kill with this thing? With health and kill on it. Do you actually heal? I have no idea. Maybe you could use it as like just a fun LOL, look at me weapon where you just make something stun and then you fucking taunt kill it and then you get health back or some shit. Maybe you could even combo it into shooting the robot and it gives you ammo. I don't fucking know. Make something with it. Just don't have it useless. End of story. Engineer. Shotguns. 5 seconds, we've seen this before. Only these are mentioned. Change should only affect the regular shotguns and panic attack because the other engineer primary choices are already considered useful, balanced, and widely ran. This addition is specifically tailored towards engineers because sentry guns are able to benefit from mini crits, unlike full crits. So you could get mini crits on your weapon, and then your sentry would also get mini crits. I don't know. 5 seconds? Is that too strong? I mean, it would kind of encourage you to use those weapons to buff yourself, literally. Could maybe a fun idea to play around with. The one thing, well, I'll get into it later, I guess. Pommes should receive a penetration upgrade. Pretty sure it had penetration before, right? This was omitted in development because the Pomson originally already had penetration at the launch of MvM. Yeah, so they fucking balanced the weapon around. They removed the penetration that was on it before through like a balance change in the normal game, and so the penetration upgrade that is on other weapons of this kind is just missing from this one, which doesn't really make any sense now. So we should add it. That makes sense. And the drain, I guess you could kind of make use of the penetration there if it's multiple giant medics that have Uber, that could be using Uber. There's some giant medics that don't actually use Uber, like the quick fix medics. Found a Runberg, some of them don't even use it. So I don't know, the penetration could just still shoot through multiple targets and I guess bring the damage it can. I would put up a little. Beyond that, I don't really see why you would get anything incredible out of this, other than the Uber drain and cloak drain. Pistol crits free of charge. Essentially, the only way sidearms can compete with the other sidearm, the Wrangler. Come with upgraded weapons, really blah blah blah. 2 weapons, yeah, we've seen this before. Then your gun should be able to deal bullet knockback again in MvM. Giants unaffected. So I can't even remember this, but they did shoot targets and would knock them back. And that was kind of messed up. If you have like multiple sentries, there's no chance in hell anything is ever moving forward, because every sentry gun would do the knockback. So I don't know if this revert would be a good thing. Because they changed it for a reason, right? What about the short circuit actually, now I think about it. The short circuit's not in a good place either. Like the way the short circuit is upgraded doesn't actually reflect the way the weapon is now either, because they also rebalanced that. You have like this orb shot, which kind of works good in MvM, where you just delete projectiles. It's really good on spammy waves and a lot of high damage projectiles as well, I guess. But the main use, where you just have this little yellow fucking piss beam shoot out, which drains like 5 metal, I think, or 10, doesn't do anything. Like, I don't even know why it exists. Either you just remove it, give it some other upgrades, like maybe have the ammo orb be able to travel further or increase the size of the orb. I don't know. Something around this. I mean, you changed the weapon entirely, but you didn't account for it in MVM whatsoever. So you should definitely address that as well. Sentry gun firing speed upgrade should increase the level 3 rocket pack firing speed. This is something I always never understood. Like, you have the firing speed, but it only affects the actual sentry gun bullets and not the rockets. Like, the rocket firing speed is already not too fast, so giving that a little boost wouldn't do too much, I would say, especially considering how many times you shoot a sentry rocket and it's just missing its target anyway. So I don't really see that as a problem. Should probably fix how the speed doesn't work in the first place on the third tick. And the second tick, I think, only affects the wrangler. If you wrangle, which is also kind of fucked up, right? So you should bring that in line, that actually functional. Yeah. Disposable sentry gun should receive these buffs. Disposable sentry gun should inherit upgrade station upgrades. They currently do not. True. If I boost my level 1 sentry with 100% health bonus, my disposable sentry gets no bonus. So instead of it having 200 health, it still is stuck at this 100 health. 100 health is just absolutely nothing. A single rocket could take that thing down, and it's just 100 metal down the shuttle. So you kind of wanna use this more in like corners or something where it doesn't immediately get shot at, but at the same time it's not really worth the investment of 500 if you don't get any benefits from the other upgrades that you already bought. So it's kind of a waste. It should be more should be made more useful by inheriting the upgrades for actual sentries too, including the firing speed as well. Special sentry guns should be affected by Wrangler. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how you would do this. Like, you could have your main sentry and then your other sentry, and then they would both shoot the target that you're shooting at, I guess. That could work. I don't see really how that would be a problem. You just have a double the focused fire. And that would also bring the health of it down up again, because it's behind the Wrangler shield, right, which gives it damage resistance. So that would also make it a little bit more survivable, useful maybe. As a means to differentiate disposable sentry gun with mini sentry gun, they currently look the same. Light body group should be hidden for the disposable sentry gun. I mean, okay, you could do this, but at the same time, isn't really that interesting, that important. I don't know. Doesn't matter. You have already decided to just use a mini sentry over a normal sentry. Okay, I guess. I don't know. Not really a gameplay basic impact. More like a visual thing for other people to distinguish what is what. Maybe for yourself if you're further away. What is it disposable and what is your mini? Then again, you should probably know where shit is. Yeah. Gunslinger should be able to do combo punching against tanks. So we know the combo punching on Gunslinger, when you hit 3 times in a row you get an automatic critical hit. So this would make the Gunslinger more useful against fighting against tanks, where you get a guaranteed crit every 3 hits, which could bring that weapon up there a little since you neglected your primary sentry, which does a ton of damage against tanks already. Could be. Gunslinger's mini sentry gun should be immune to sentry buster calls. I don't know if this is a buff or if this is a nerf. Like, you could just slap it down and then leave it alone, and you would never have to worry about sentry buster showing up, and then just occasionally, fill it up and help it without having to worry about it. But you also can weaponize sentry busters, like previously mentioned, where you could just destroy the sentry and then, have them detonate on a bunch of robots, for instance. So I guess it goes both ways, and maybe it balances itself out. Gunslinger must receive a new sentry gun damage upgrade for the mini sentry. Since it's a smaller sentry, it does less damage. Would it need to have more damage? I know we experiment with just being able to slap more sentries down. I don't know if this was too strong or too annoying to do. How much would that be? That would be like an additional upgrade that you would have that you would have to invest money into. So you would have the health that you're boosting, which is the 400. Maybe you want that firing speed too, which is 350. And then you have another one. Additionally to that, just to get damage higher, which is an investment that you would need to do for this over the other sentry type. Depends on how much that would cost, I guess. But still, kinda an extra investment you would just not have if you were using normal sentries. Which is kind of a negative point for using this again. Changes essentially for many sentry guns to become viable in MvM, as they currently lack the staying power and the blocking power and killing power necessary to match regular sentry guns. Yeah, but then you could just use a normal sentry gun instead of having to overly invest extra into it, right? 50 sentry gun damage for 4 ticks, 100 each. There we go. This upgrade must be directly tied onto the gunslinger as to avoid possible exploits with boosting the regular sentry gun. 50%. So that's 400. I guess that's cheap enough to do. But that's like a 200% damage bonus. Is that too much? No idea. I have to test it, I guess. Medic. Medigun shield upgrade must be revised. Shield is Medic's strongest ability because it has many perks added on top of the basic absolute protection. This ability is not only more powerful than all of Medic's Ubers combined together, but it is so easily charged that it's always readily available. Player could omit all overcharge and healing upgrades and still have a massive impact on the game using the Medigun shield. This game-breaking upgrade must be nerfed to compensate for the benefits. Medigun shield upgrade price should be increased from 300 to 500. Medigun shield models should no longer change position when looking up or down. The shield model appears to back off and move forward depending on the y-axis the player looks at. This is notably known and exploited as a means to move point blank with an enemy, such as bosses, look down and still be protected, despite the graphics incorrectly suggesting it wouldn't be safe to do so. Another factor to consider is the empty space normally separating the user from the shield can be considered a danger zone, and this exploit nullifies that hazard. As much as I hate to say it, right, this is absolutely true. It's too strong for what it costs, and you can still, charge it relatively easy if you have people around. And this too, looking down should not bring your shield towards yourself, basically giving you free room to just block whatever you want to block, and then you can Uber and just get more shield as well. I don't know if that should be changed by just absorbing your own damage to basically self-charge your shield again. And then you have stuff that just goes through it. Flames go through it, but Dragon's Fury projectile is considered a projectile. So I would assume that that should not go through it, especially since it's also reflectable by air blast. So I feel like that should be something that should not penetrate the shield. And that could bring maybe this thing up a little bit more against that type of enemy. It would also make more sense that way. Um, yeah. That danger zone should definitely exist. So you can't just stall infinitely. You always have to consider that people walk into your shield, walk through it, then hit you. So you have to kind of know when to give way and back off. Yeah, Medigun shield model must no longer be considered solid by bonds. Yeah, that too. Despite being seemingly non-solid, the shield prop itself appears to be tangible and body area will actively attempt and fail to move around it, which is highly abusable because this creates a lot of interference with the pathing. The entity should have its collision be ignored by bonds, so you could just straight up walk through it. It makes this a little bit more difficult to use. You would have to know when to actually, like I said, backpedal into not getting killed through it. Medigun shield should no longer inflict damage. The Medigun shield provides impenetrable near-complete immunity any amount of firepower robots are capable of. This is comparable to overcharging your entire team every 14 seconds at no cost. I mean, no cost. I mean, you have an initial cost of like 1,000 at that point, right? Or like 600 right now. The fact that the shield is able to deal considerable DPS is salt in the wound that should be removed entirely to keep the ability purely defensive. Doing no damage. I mean, you're primarily a medic, right? You're not supposed to be dealing damage. You shouldn't be able to just spam out your shield and then kill robots and like a whole packs of robots with it as well. So I guess that would be okay too, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess people would still consider medic to be helpful, even if the shield wouldn't do any damage, because you can still hide behind it. And the reanimator still exists, so you can still reanimate people, help people. Oh, well, I just don't want medic to follow that whole of, a class that's just considered a waste of a player slot. Once again, as it used to be before, for the most part, especially on all difficulties where just having a damage class was considered more helpful than just having one guy who can boost one other guy. Occasionally, which does make sense. Medigun shield should be blocked from crit streak. Crit streak's unique playstyle gimmick offers tremendous offensive power at the cost of the medic's safety. This was always the basic idea behind this item, yet the MvM shield destroys this balance entirely. Blocking it off would restore the risk. Risk reward nature of the crit streak and indirectly benefit other mediguns. I mean, right now people are still saying, please use the crit streak, please use the crit streak, because the crit streak is, giving crits out. But you also have the same benefit of the shield, so maybe the people would consider not using a crit streak if they had the shield instead of it. You could get the crit boost but be more vulnerable, be more out in the open. Or you could have not the crit boost and be more safe with a shield ability. Medical. You could see it that way, and you could make it more balanced in that way as well. The one other thing that also kind of is stupid, which I didn't know for years on end even until I randomly was told, is that when you actually select medic as a class and you buy the shield upgrade, get a plus 50% buff duration bonus. I think it was 50%. That buff duration bonus affects your shield duration. So if you buy shield and you have this bonus, the shield lasts, I don't know how long, let's just say 10 seconds. But then you switch class to something else. For instance, you want to go back to spawn faster, and then you just switch class, and then you switch back to medic. That buff duration is actually removed from you because you switched class, and then your shield duration is, you have less of that. So instead of the 10 seconds you had before, you only have like 8 seconds now. I know that's not reflective of the 50%, but you get the point, right? You just have less of your shield simply because you just switched class randomly in between, which made no sense whatsoever. It already made no sense that you got a buff duration on the shield for some fucking reason. I don't know why. It's just stupid. Why not just buy the shield, get the duration of the shield being 8 seconds or whatever, and then call it a day? Why even slap something on top of it that you can randomly lose? And people probably don't even know about? I mean, fuck's sake, I didn't know about it for the longest time. It's just stupid. Ubersaw must no longer be able to provide Uber charge when the user is canteen overcharged. So this is more like a combo buff, so you can't just Uber charge yourself, run in with the Ubersaw, get more Uber, use that Uber, and then when that Uber runs out, use another Uber charge canteen, and then just repeat the whole cycle, right? Be continuously invulnerable. There's an extreme imbalance in that the Ubersaw should always provide high risk for high rewards, yet a medic is able to make himself invincible in demand with a canteen to heavily charge off bots with no threat. Same with just sentry bosses. I think you should just not be able to charge a sentry bosses either. This method is extremely known and abused. True, and that's why it also overshadows any other melee weapon as medic, which kind of fucked up, right? And God knows the community tried to give the other melee weapons for medic a use case where they added like 15% charge on like the amputator or Vitasaur or something, or gave the Vitasaur something else, but nothing really came close to having an Ubersaw equipped. So I don't know. I don't know how you would balance around this at all. Like, it's just so good that there's no real reason not to have it over the other options. And if you, the only real way you would be able to just change this would be to give other things either the same thing, remove this entirely, or give other weapons something that is equally as helpful as this, that would make you want to equip this. Like, let's say you get the Vitasaur, and then you get like 50 more health or some shit like that. Where you say, do I want more health as medic over being able to just get more Uber as medic? I don't know. Or something like that, maybe. I'm not sure. Like dying without consequence. Like, I think the Vitasaur already provides that, where you retain some Uber charge that you had, but it's still not good enough that way, because first of all, you don't want to die in the first place. But something along those lines would need to be put on that, I guess. And I guess the amputator could specifically be built around the taunt effect that it has when you taunt with it. But it would need to be better. And maybe like heal more when you use it, because right now it's just kind of underwhelming. It's probably the hardest thing to figure out, just medic melee weapons, because this is just so fucking broken. Uber charge rate upgrade should be reduced from 300 to 200. I don't know. This upgrade should be considered essential and a workhorse of the class, especially should the player not have the Ubersaw equipped. The price must affect the search, given that the medic has so many other upgrades to buy from. Yeah, I don't know about this. Is it too expensive? I never found it to be too expensive. Like 200? Charge rate upgrades? I mean, you already have so many abilities to just charge. You have this thing, and you can just build on multiple people. Blitzkrieg already has faster charge rate, right? Vaccinator has faster charge rate. Only gets 1 point of charge rate too. Like, what do we do with that? Do we get the Vaccinator more charge rate on top of it? I mean, it already charges insanely fast. If we're talking about, you know, upgrades like the damage upgrade on the direct hit, just having 3 points. The Medigun has 4 points in charge rate. The Blitzkrieg has 3 points in charge rate because it already has a faster charge rate inherently. So do we give that a 4th point to make it even faster for a charge rate, or do we not do it there for reasons? But we do it on the direct hit for reasons. It doesn't really make any sense to do it for one but not for the other, and then also like bring this price down. Maybe you could just have it the same price but give it another point of charge rate so it charges even faster than it already charges. Maybe that would be considered too fucking busted. I don't know. A lot of, I think medic is like the most broken thing, right? Look at this shit. Shield's busted, Uberstar's busted. Canteens and medic combos are busted. Then you have the fucking canteen sharing as well. It's fucked up, man. Stun virus health vision perk is non-functional MvM. It should be fixed. In addition, it should be allowed to see enemy building health as well as tank health. I mean, the Solemn virus health vision perk. I mean, robot health. Do I need to see that robot's health? Maybe if it's like a mini boss thing or like a boss. Or I think they already showed the health, right? I don't even know. But if you would want to make this into something, I think this should be more like a combo weapon again. Or have like a actual strange effect on it. What if you just lean into what it actually says on the weapon? It says do no harm, right? So what if you say, I don't know, it's kind of weird. You do harm with it, you kill a robot with it, and then you essentially, that's probably too strong actually. Like do no harm. Robots stop shooting you, for instance, probably too strong. Or you have like a moment of truce in a way, where nobody can shoot, so that no, that's stupid. Like you want to shoot the robots, right? Like the robots maybe can't shoot. I don't know, something like this. Would I want to use that over the Ubersaw again? Would need to be something along that is so good that you would actually want to do it, want to have it. You could just put it down on the ground. And then the robots, I don't know, look at it in awe. I don't fucking know. I would love to use it though. It's a cool weapon. When have you ever used a bust of what was it? Socrates? Hippocrates? I don't know. A bust of some fucking smart dude. A marble bust and bashed someone's fucking head in. That's cool, right? Come on, it's cool. Canteen specialists should no longer provide a price reduction to canteens. I mean, I would remove canteens to begin with, so this thing would be gone. But considering that, I think that's better as well. It's just the ability to share a canteen as medic already gives like somebody 3 canteens, and then you have another canteen, 3 canteens you can give them. So you have effectively 6 canteens you could potentially use, but you also have to invest the price into it. You have to consider that too, and bringing the price down avoids it being able to be abused, being too spammable. It reminded me of a custom thing that was made to summon Environment Potato's medieval mission that added stats to it that had a chance of like 10% of stunning a robot after hitting it. Yeah, but then we get into the the argument of, is 10% enough? How long does it stun? Is it actually useful to just get one target stunned? And like, why would you want to have one guy stunned for like 5 seconds when some guy shoots at it for like half a second and then the robot just dies anyway? It's hard to say what you want to do with this thing. That it's balanced for you and makes sense for all the teams as well and isn't just a wasted fucking ability. I know that sounds incredibly stupid and incredibly silly, but what if you hit something with this thing and then they have like a eureka moment, you know, they go into that think or pose, you know, as robot. It would be incredibly stupid. It would be absolutely no benefit other than, you know, the silly moment of a robot adapting that pose and being like, you know, I don't know. I'm just coming up with the most absurd shit right now. Whatever. Where we at? Giant medic bots have a bug that make them not turn around to face a backstabbing spy like all other giant robots. Is that a bug? I thought it was always supposed to be like this. So that they keep focus on the heal target. Because normally when they turn around from the heal target, they also disconnect the heal beam. I thought that was the case. Maybe that's the bug. I'm not sure. Because they lose focus of the heal target or some shit like that. And that's why they don't turn around? I don't know actually. But they maybe should turn around. You know, it makes sense. Maybe they should just stand there, like taking up the ass. What if? Would it make sense if they adjusted their own position? What if the heal target turns around, faces the giant, faces the spy, and then they actually adjust their position accordingly and move around to the back of the giant that just turned around, so they actually do not just stand around on the ass and take it up the ass, just willy-nilly. I don't know. I think it would have been a funny strat for the solid bout if medic hits robots, medic it changes weapon to its melee and tries to hit you until it dies. It's also something interesting actually. What if it has a force effect, where instead of the primary weapon that it's supposed to be using, it just switches off the primary weapon. It uses like an inconsequential, less damage weapon, right? Where it just uses its secondary or tries to, you know, pull out its melee weapon. And depending on what melee weapon they have assigned, it's like a nothing burger. It turns, but that could be too strong. Probably shouldn't be able to use that on giants. I don't know. Unless you have like a... You would have to account for that too. Like you would have to give it a weapon that's not making the design totally fucking broken as well. That's another can of worms entirely, I guess. Sniper, oh boy. Here we fucking go. Explosive headshot must be revised to only trigger on a full charged headshot. I actually do like this already, because it's too spammable, too abusable through just being able to quick scope and just get the benefit continuously. Explosive headshot's damage type should be changed from bleed to blast damage. So yeah, this also doesn't make any sense that it's kind of bleeding. Explode is in the name, right? So making blast damage. Explosive headshot has always been extremely controversial due to its massive crowd control power, unreasonably scaled compared to the level of input effort required. While quick headshots is a strong part of sniper gameplay, its innate design has always resided more around preparing charged shots and then missing them, in my case. MvM should not steer away from this core mechanic. By making explosive headshots trigger only on full charge, this solves two problems by clamping down the overwhelming game-breaking power of the upgrade, while also tying gameplay backed snipers charge-based routes. Fixing the damage type will ensure blast-resisting robots will not fall so easily, as well as provide a means to resist it, should robots inflict this effect upon the players. So this is more of a custom thing, right? Where we actually have snipers with the upgrade, sniper bots with the upgrade, and facing those is really spooky, because as said, you can't really resist the bleed damage. Beyond maybe the battalions, like you said before, like you just did, but at the same time, I think this will already go a long way. If you want the benefit, you must charge a shot. This would also directly nerf the Hitman's Heatmaker, which is my biggest fucking issue with this class to begin with, because that weapon is too easy to use for the input that you make with it. Like, you have the focus, which you already don't have to fully charge to even be able to activate, which is already fucked. You can have like a small amount, and then you get a headshot with that amount, which then recharges the focus that you have. No, not a headshot. You get a kill with a headshot on that during focus, which recharges the focus already, so you can continuously stay in focus as long as you have ammo and as long as you kill with headshots. I think you have to kill. I don't even know. I didn't use the weapon, for God's sake. Would be even more as if you just have the headshot and it continuously charges its focus. Maybe that's how it works. I'm not even sure. But that was my biggest problem, where you could just continuously stay in focus, continuously shoot, continuously get the benefit of explosive headshot, and then just, you know, it's a fucking massive damage cycle that's basically just stopped by you running out of focus when you are unable to kill something or get actual shots in, or you run out of ammo, which is also a non-issue if you have, first of all, a dispenser accessible, an ammo pack that most snipers normally sit close by or on, or just have cheap ass ammo canteens that you can spam into yourself. So this probably would also nerf the Heatmaker already, because you can't get the benefit of this by just getting headshots continuously, right? So the focus would be more of a actual, you know, continuous shot mechanic when you want to focus something down, instead of a crowd control nightmare, in my opinion. Anyway. Charge rate upgrade price must be reduced down from 200 to 100. Was never to function properly in MvM in concert with the previous nerf. This price reduction must be done. Makes sense, because you want to charge faster. This needs to be lower in price, so you can actually buy it earlier on to be able to charge faster, get this benefit more often. So it kind of plays into this. Huntsman penetration upgrade should be remade or removed. Simply put, Huntsman's special hit detection is incompatible with projectile penetration. This broken upgrade causes the arrow to shatter against various technical entities such as trigger brushes, dynamic props, overcharges, buildings, tanks, and even breaks Huntsman's unique limb detection system, making headshots a lot less reliable. Given the now extreme single target damage, one could understand Sniper's key potential does not reside in vague crowd control, but rather precise and consistent headshots. And I kind of would lean into that as well. Whereas the crowd control potential for this thing just isn't there. It's more of like a actual precision aim focus weapon. And the penetration is just busted as shit. I think it's been busted forever, where you just shoot at things, it breaks, you use Uber canteens, it breaks your arrows, you get Ubered, it broke your arrows. I think they fixed that to some degree in some update randomly, but I'm not sure. Are you gonna play more? No. The thing is, if it wouldn't do all of these things, and it would still allow you to do, you know, normal headshot targeting, where it would not just fuck up the hitboxes insanely, would you be able to have a effect from this? Like, can I headshot something and then hit something else? Probably. Can I hit something and then just body shot something and hit something else? Probably. I mean, you could just have this more focused on actually headshots, and this one add more penetration shots as well. So instead of getting the headshots, you focus more on the penetrating aspect. Huntsman should be given a all players connected via medigun beams hit new upgrade for 400. It's the third degrees attribute which would spread damage to linked medics, given that the Huntsman does not possess the explosive headshot capability of sniper rifles to kill medics in one shot. This ability will even the bow out with rifles perfectly. Yeah. I mean, you would even it out with having the same effect, but then you have the 400 credit input extra that you would need to invest into this, which sets you back 400 credits compared to the other rifles, which don't have that. Technically, I mean, you have to have 350 for explosive headshots, so I would maybe put it at 350 to have like that kind of balance there. Technically, you could just shoot down medics normally with arrows or with normal headshots, body shots as well. So I would just do the same price as explosive headshot, so it's just the same. Lead upgrade for Huntsman should be replaced with a fire arrow upgrade for 200. All arrows passively ignite themselves if a teammate flamethrower was ignite themselves as if a teammate's flamethrower was shot nearby. I kind of like this actually. Bleed never really made any sense because robots don't bleed, but you giving yourself fire arrows for 200? I can see that. Why not? And it could also, synergize well with other classes. If you have a heavy using Hulong, you could light something up and they could do damage, increased damage on targets because you lit them up. Or maybe a Pyro could combo with the Dragon's Fury because you lit them up, they do increased damage. So that would synergize across some other classes as well, if you were able to just do that. Yeah. But I don't know how that would work with afterburn or burn damage. I don't know how the duration of this actually affected. I think it's just normal. Will it do 40 damage extra? Classic should deal headshots at any charge level natively in MvM. Simple combat fix to this, otherwise extremely limited in situational weapon. Yeah, so you can't even headshot, you can't even quickscope with this thing and do the thing that's none of us supposed to be doing unless you have a full charge, which kind of makes this thing the worst ever to use, and you shouldn't unless you're fucking around maybe or trying it out. Like, nobody should be using this thing as it is. But what is the classic of that one? Classic. What is it? Minus 10% damage on body shots. So we give it the normal ability to shoot, but then have the negative downside of 10% damage on body shots. Charge and fire shots independent of zoom. I guess that's the benefit, and that's the other negatives. I mean, that could still work. Submachine gun stock should provide 5 seconds of, that's the same we've seen before with the crits, mini crits thing. Carbine is obviously not in here, because you can already mini crit yourself with that thing, and it's comboed with other weapons. No melee sniper things in here. I don't know, we gave Scout melee is a thing. Why not? Sniper. Fuck with it. Like, there's no use case for Shahanshas, right? Increased damage from lower health. Could you actually make use of that in a way on tanks? Probably, right? If you have lower health as sniper, could you just run off and then deal more damage to tanks? Never tried that, because it's just insane to have lower health and then run off as sniper. When you could just, you know, not focus on tanks with that weapon to begin with and just use one that actually does full crits. What else do we have? That Shansha. No. Bushwhacker is the one that everybody uses. Shiv just gives you bleed. One hit bleed for 6 seconds, but you also have 50% damage penalty, which puts this thing right in the dumpster. Like, what do you do with this? I don't know. I fucking don't know. I guess Shiv just the worst one to use. It's better to just use a cookery, right? That damage penalty is just abysmal. Wow. Spy changes. We're nearing the end. Hooray! Invisibility handling by bots in MvM must be revised. Currently, the Dead Ringer watch is considered as the only viable item for MvM due to a problem with how AI handles standard cloaking. By default, when an invisible watch spy gets hit, they flicker a little. However, in MvM, these flickers allow bots to aggressively continue damage, as each flicker renews the bot's aggression over and over, killing off the player quickly. Because the Dead Ringer provides both a high resistance and never flickers, it is worlds apart from the Invis watches and is always favored in MvM. Flicker detection must be turned off in MvM if players ever hope to use those other watches, which is very true. And you could make a case of the Eternal Rewards pairing better together with these watches, because they can be recharged by just picking up ammo boxes. So you can regain your charge after you use a disguise, which drains your cloak much faster, but then you're still left in the dust in a way by just the flicker itself. Like a single heavy bullet hitting you and making you flicker, every other robot looking at you and continues to shoot you, continues making you flicker, you will never get away. There's no chance in hell unless there's some cover you can hide behind. Which just trashes this entire system, even though there is a use case for it, and you could make use of it. Unfortunately. Wrote backstab damage on penetration formula. So this is something that I don't remember because I didn't really play Spy when it started at MvM, so I don't even know if this was a thing or how much this affected things. Just pretty much very recently started to get into Spy and learn how to fucking do things and yada yada yada, you get the point. But yeah, 2012, right? Holy fucking shit. Spy was provided a large damage increase to the armor penetration upgrade, following 4 tick levels, including none. The old formula was 0%, 25, 50, 75, and 100, up to a maximum of 750 per hit. Right, so if you have no ticks, you do no increased damage, right? Which makes sense. Then you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. But after the buff, the new formula was increased to, you inherently already do 25% more damage with your backstabs. Then you have the 4 ticks on that, ramping the damage up to 125% in total. So a maximum of 938 damage per backstab, which is a considerable increase, right, in terms of that. But I'm not sure like I can't really comment on this. Like I think this is okay, but I also think this okay, because I learned that right on this, and I feel Spy still has like to take its chance to take moments where he just can't do shit, basically, where he just has to wait for a moment unless he wants to get mauled after getting one kill on a giant maybe. I think this will also take them more stabs to kill giants, obviously, so it will leave you more vulnerable for a longer time to maybe not even get the job done that you set out to do. So that could also make you less effective in terms of just killing giants, but I'm not sure. The massive change was unfounded and misled as the giant medic health. A major foe in Hollow missions was originally designed to accommodate the old formula, which would set off their Uber if no help was provided to the spy. At all times, this DPS increase simply spirals out of control in the hands of a competent player and will consistently outdo all classes but heavy, and should see itself rewarded. I mean, that is kind of true. If you can continuously backstab things, circle stab as well, and well, there's something else we're gonna get into after this, I think, it was mentioned, yeah. If you basically just combo with Medic. Eternal Reward must have its nerf rewarded. In MvM history, your Eternal Reward was immediately nerfed at launch out of fear that this item would be too powerful in MvM. Nerf in question is a function check which adds an extra second of delay before giving a disguise, completely ruining the purpose of this item and making it non-viable. I mean, that's debatable. It kind of still works. It's kind of a little bit more dangerous. The robots might, they take a moment to notice you, but the moment that it takes for you to disguise could be long enough for them to actually deal damage to you. So they do notice you and might shoot at you. But it also shouldn't just be the case of you being able to continuously backstab things without them ever noticing you, right? User community tests have proven this is never warranted. Duos constantly threatened by crossfire, human error, kill steals, and cloak loss at all times. In addition, Nextbot's AA code have several failsafes to ensure even perfect play from a spy can be detected at opportunistic times. I don't think I've played around with this on Community MvM. I've seen some people use it. I think it was effective enough. I don't know if they ever ran into any big issues by being noticed and shit. I mean, they have the fail saves, but does that account for others as well? Like, if the robot that triggers this fail save gets killed, do other robots also acknowledge that situation? I don't think they do. It's hard to say. I think it's kind of asked to use the Eternal Reward simply because the Dead Ringer just doesn't pair well with it, because you want to redisguise, and when you redisguise you lose your cloak, and when you don't have cloak you can't use the Dead Ringer, right? Whereas with other watches, if the cloak recharges slightly, you can still use your cloak, but you can't use the Dead Ringer, right? So I would rather see this be the perfect knife being used just with normal cloak watches than on not Dead Ringers. And then it would probably be just a functional normal weapon instead of I'm reading this because I like MvM and I think it's interesting. Why not? I'm not specifically reading it so Helmut can say, oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, he showed this to me, so, and we talked about it a little bit too, so I'm just sharing my view on his view, and that's pretty much it. I don't expect any of this to make it into any update whatsoever, or any of the shit that I said to make it in any update whatsoever. It's just something, I don't know, we collectively can, sit in this nice round room the Greeks used to have. What is it? I don't know what it's called, but right, where they had the togas and they were debating each other about random shit or whatever, something like that maybe. Zappers should not deplete upon enemy buildings. MvM sapping a robot will cause a cooldown to the player's sapper, which makes sense given it directly interferes with a live player foe. Considering engineer robots were added much later on, this mechanic was kept by default and causes the spy player to lose their sapper for any simple building sap. Process which is nowhere as useful as a proper robot sap. It's to make it consistent with regular TF2, and this means to buff sappers should behave like regular PvP when sapping robot buildings and not undergo a cooldown. This is kind of fucked up, right? If you have a teleporter and a sentry, you can only decide to sap one of them. And then if you have the sapper applied, you need to wait for the building to be destroyed to be able to reapply a sapper. Or reuse the sapper for anything, really. So in normal games, you would just be able to sap everything at once. And it kind of would make sense for that to be the case in MvM2. Considering the amount of missions that we also have insane amount of engineer spam that just build sentries all over the fucking place. And I don't think there would be anything wrong with this, right? If we could just sap multiple buildings at once without having to wait around for the sentry to be destroyed by ourselves, by the sapper, or by somebody else. Which also leaves you unable to sap any other robots as well. It's kind of fucked up. The red tape recorder does not fire sapped game events because it does no damage. This bug means an engineer robot does not acknowledge a red tape recorder sap and will not attempt to remove it. In addition, this also causes the teleporter wave bar icon to not remove itself if destroyed by a red tape recorder. Actually never noticed this, if this is the case. It's pretty silly, but at the same time, not really that big a deal. But they do not acknowledge that the teleporter is getting, sapped because it doesn't take any damage. If the teleporter would take damage, the engineer bot would go and try and fix it, and because they try and fix it, they would also automatically remove the red tape recorder. So it was some crazy idea that I thought maybe we could use with the red tape recorder. I don't even know if that would be a possibility. But let's do this first. Given that the RTR excels against high health buildings and is essentially a straight upgrade in MvM because it stuns robot just the same, its zap effect should be made different. Just having a RTR zapped robot not become stunned, not become slowed, and instead have its movement go the opposite direction of its intended pathing for the duration of the zap. This is a team of focus perk at the cost of stabbing helpless robots for the spy, which evens out the better building effectiveness. So you essentially could make the bomb carrier move backwards. I don't know how helpful that would be, because I don't know. I'd rather just see it do something else entirely. Like the bomb carrier walking back, being set back, or something like this. I don't know. It doesn't feel like too great of a thing. And it was a crazy idea that I had, since it's a red tape recorder, right? What if you could set it, or, well, not set it. What if you could deploy it, like you use it, like you would use it anyway. You put it on the ground maybe, I don't know, some shit like this. And then it just makes like a copy of yourself, a hologram maybe, something that takes the focus, the robot's target, for like some time over yourself, like a get out of jail free card kind of thing. I don't even know if that is a possibility to like make or whatever, but it's like a recorder, right? It could record something, anything, Maybe it could record like some movement of yours. And then even move around. I don't know. I'm just some fucking wild idea than that. Maybe it could just be a noise, right? It could just be a robot noise. Like, it could play a robot noise, like the robots are calling out that you are a spy, right? So it plays a robot noise that says, hey, blah blah blah, there's a spy, and then they all fucking turn over there and look in that direction, even though there's nothing there. So you could use it in a way to maybe manipulate bot aggro. No clue if that's even a possible thing to do, but something like this. And yeah, that's the end of that. I don't know anything else to say. It's been probably too long for me yapping about this, but the upcoming MvM update, upcoming, I actually don't know what the fuck is even going to happen and when it's going to happen, but I like this, interesting things in here. I think a lot of good things I would like to actually see, especially the things that you know, fix the broken crap that we've had in the game for eternities at this point. So I'd really love to see some of the shit in there, and I swear to God, if they don't do it, I will, I guess, shit on Valve some more. Not like they care, but at the same time, like, they shouldn't be surprised, right? They shouldn't be fucking surprised. They never ask anybody. They ask, hey, give us some missions, give us some maps, and that's the end of it. They never do something like, I wonder what this MvM community that has been around for like over a decade thinks about these things. And then, even if they ask about it, they're like, yeah, okay, that's too much work, let's not do that. Too much work, not doing it. Fuck that, okay? Like, and then they're like, oh wow, the MvM community, the TF2 community doesn't appreciate us when we do an update. Wow. Why? I just don't understand it. I just don't know why. And then they stop fucking doing updates. Yeah, it's just the fucking continuous cycle of not giving a shit and then getting shit on. Wow, big surprise, right? So I hope we can finally sometime, maybe in the future, maybe in another universe, actually break out of that cycle and get something done. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great if we could get a update that people actually, you know, can get behind? Where it's not just, wow, look at this cool new shiny stuff that we got. Hey, do you want to throw some money at us to get this new cool shiny stuff? I would rather see actual changes and fixes to things that have been busted for 10 years, 8 years, 5 years or whatever, than any other shiny fucking dog shit Australian weapons that are gonna be worth like $15 in like 2 months or some shit. Like, I don't care, okay? I just don't fucking care. And yeah, I think if they botch this update up, like to an insane amount, which is highly likely to be honest, there's gonna be a lot of fallout again from a lot of people. You know, you still have the dedicated players, but at some point when something is just so stupid, people just leave, right? They just say, you know what, Valve, go fuck yourselves. I'm out of this shit. I'm taking my money elsewhere, and I'm just done, right? There's lots of moments where that happened back in the day, and there were also lots of moments where it incited an absolute fucking hellfire on MvM in total, with upgrade decisions and shit, right? And we've lived through that as well. So I'd rather not go back into another fucking cycle of that, because God knows it's going to be absolute fucking hell. And on top of this, if we see a new update, you can bet your ass that the increase in shields is also going to be there. So I would really, really love if the fucking report system would actually do some fucking thing and actually deal with Cheetos. Wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, we still have Cheetos around that have been around for fucking years too. Like, how do they never fucking detect this shit? I just don't fucking know. What do they do? Do they do any investigation on reports? I don't fucking think so. Like, there's no fucking way. You could throw videos at them. They can't even watch. They don't even watch. They don't care to watch. I don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're fucking doing. They're just never saying the fucking thing. There's cheaters. We know they're cheaters. Everybody fucking knows they're cheaters. They're still allowed to cheat. I mean, I guess Valve doesn't care because it's still money they spend on their fucking shit. So there's still customers in a way, even if they're breaking the rules. I don't know. Do I have high hopes for this update? No. Will I be there? Absolutely. Will I shit on it if it's crap? You can bet your ass on it. And yeah. But I will continue to not spend money on this platform. And as much as that might be a nothing burger in itself, because I'm still spending money somewhere else for the things that somebody else buys from them. I mean, to me personally, I'm not spending my money on them directly, so yeah, that's my justification anyway. So yeah, unless I see any positive change on MVM, on Steam itself as well, they will not get a single fucking cent from me. And yeah, that's it. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hearing me yap continuously. God damn, I need to drink something. My mouth is so fucking dry. Holy shit. And it's been too long as well. So I'm getting the fuck out of here. 3 a.m. How long was that? Like 2 hours? Okay, well, have a great day. Oh, another thing that I forgot. How did I forget about this, right?